to take today and show you some great moves you can do right at home to improve your casting strength. The first move is going to be an overhead shoulder press. Overhead shoulder press is really great because it will help you develop the confidence that you can hold your own body weight up over your head. A super important thing if you're going to ask yourself to be really aggressive and cast really big. You can grab a pair of dumbbells. You can hold them right above your shoulders. You're going to push straight up and then lower down. Now for casting, I do prefer that if you push up, you keep your arms more by the sides of your head, not so much in front of your head, because when you end up in that ultimate handstand position, you're going to want your arms back there. So just really work that position there. And if you need to, you can always do those wall angels. If you're having trouble getting your arms back, that can be a nice rehab type exercise to help yourself with that. The next one that we're going to work is a bent over row. Bent over rows are really great because they help work your back muscles, and your back muscles are actually the bigger driver of your cast. A lot of people think it's shoulders, but your back muscles do a large percentage of the work, especially when you're from the horizontal to almost into the handstand, so that basically mid-range of the cast when you're going above horizontal. So the back muscles are going to be really key. You can hold the same weights you had before. You're going to separate your legs a bit, bend forward at the waist. You're going to keep your back nice and flat, and you can row the weights right to your lower rib cage. This one, it's really good to pull quick, pinch your shoulder blades, and then lower slow. So I'll show you guys from the side too. So you want your back to stay pretty neutral. You don't want to have your back shape change as you do this move. All right, so that's going to be really good for that middle range casting between horizontal and vertical. Next, we're going to do an isolated arm lift. So for that, it's important that we keep our body really still. So you can go against the wall. You're going to have your legs bent a bit. And then with straight arms, we're going to lift all the way up until you tap the wall, and then all the way back down. So it's important to keep your back against the wall. Make sure you're using control in this one. Your elbows are able to stay locked. You can also stop halfway up, and that will work more the bottom portion of a press or a cast, or you can go the top and then just halfway, and that one is a little bit more difficult, so that's another good area to work. But then again too, the heavier your weights are, you're going to find that you might be able to do one version or the other. So depending what you might have at home, you can find a version that's going to be challenging for you. So that is good for isolating the shoulders. Now we're going to ask your core to also stay integrated into this. So for that one, we can go back to the two weights, and you're basically simulating a cast from just a standing position. So you're going to take the weights and you're going to go all the way over your head. This one can be a little bit more quick, a little bit more dynamic, and then lower slow. It's good to work on that control on the way down. That will also give you confidence that your cast, you can cast bigger, and you'll have that confidence when you're able to lower slowly. So this one, it's tricky, and I have sometimes problems with this too. You don't want to see the back really go. You want it to stay pretty steady. And if you can't do that, if you're forcing yourself to go back, you might need to drop weight a bit and just do a lighter weight. You can also just use one weight, depending again on what you have. You can do the one weight. If that gives you better form, then fine. Because we're really wanting it to be that you're using your core to hold your body still. When you use the wall, it's really good for alignment, but you actually don't have your own core holding you up. So there's benefits to each. So depending on the day, I might one day do the one against the wall, and the other day I might do the free one, and just sort of back and forth that way, so I'm getting the best of both worlds. And once we're moving past the dumbbells, we can do a more dynamic one, and that's going to be with our band. So for this, you can kneel on the band. The other option too, you can always lie on your back and hook it against a couch leg. You need something that's pretty firm and isn't going to go moving around a lot on you though. So a lot of times I just end up doing it by kneeling because it's easier, but you're going to have straight arms, and you're going to go overhead as fast as you can, and then down. This one you don't really have to go down slow because it's not resisting you on the way down, so just faster works fine for this. So just really quick, and you're also again trying to keep your body from wiggling, so we'll see how I do with this, but I don't want to see my body wiggling a lot when I go. So that's that one. And this one you can do a little bit higher numbers on. It's more of a muscle activation movement, not as much of a strength building. So this is good for just that dynamics that you're gonna want in your cast. so the last one of the arm portion that we'll do here is going to involve holding a weight in front of you. This actually might be a little bit heavy for me. Let's see here. I'm gonna grab a 3 for this. So I guess we'll stand up. That works. Standing up is more full body, so that makes more sense for this. So what we're doing here is we've got the weight, and we're just gonna hold it straight out in front of us. So again, we're here. Now, the horizontal portion of a cast is actually one of the harder portions of it, in my opinion, because you're bearing all of your weight on your shoulders. If you get to the point where you can cast above that, in a way it gets easier if you're quick enough. So it's just good to work this position, the horizontal. So if you imagine I'm in a horizontal cast, this is basically my bar, and I'm holding that. So the hard thing of this is keeping good body shape. So you don't want to have the back arching a lot. You want to keep it neutral, and you also want to make sure your abs are engaged here and your elbows are straight. And then you also want to avoid hunching your shoulders a lot, because that's going to take away from your core, and we want this to be a lot of core in addition to arms. So you can find a weight that you can maybe hold for 30 seconds is good for that. And this is also a really good position for clear hips, because most good clear hips are going to pass through a moment where you're in support in that basically horizontal body position. So say you're in a cast handstand and you drop to, it happens really, really fast, but you drop to where your body is horizontal, and then you drop super fast to make your clear hip, right? So working this position is good, because the stronger you are in that horizontal cast shape, the more confidence you're gonna have to really go for that clear hip and drop really, really hard. So holding that for 30 seconds is a great thing to do. Now, we've talked a lot about upper body, but there's also a lot to say about your legs. So we're gonna switch it up here, and we're gonna do a little bit of the legs for the next portion. So what I would like you guys to do next is grab a pillow, and also if you have ankle weights, those would be great as well. All right, so I'm gonna start out with so I said pillow, I actually have a kickball. Oops. So this is why I don't do ball sports, guys. Definitely not as good with the catching. So what you're gonna do is the bed works really well for this, couches can work, but a lot of times the arm of the couch is too high, so I like using a bed. So I'm just gonna use my panel mats here. But you're gonna have that object, the pillow, the ball, whatever you can find, between your legs. You're gonna drive the legs up and squeeze, and then you're gonna drop. Drive up and squeeze, drop. All right, so this one is good for the heel drive. If you're good with that one and you want to try a bigger heel drive, you can always do that, and you can go a little bit past horizontal. So that one is fine. If you have back problems, I wouldn't recommend that, just because it can put more pressure on your lower back. But even just the one I showed you works really, really well, and you can also even hold your legs in the air. So once you get to that position, then you're gonna hold that. And that's another nice strengthener for you. Now, you might say, well, I do straddle cast. Fine, but a straddle cast starts just like a regular cast. So no matter which cast you're doing, they all start with legs together, and a really good straddle cast doesn't usually have the legs split until you've already gotten to horizontal. So working the heel drive is always going to be beneficial. It happens really quick and you don't always see it. But straddle casting actually does have legs together for the beginning part. So this exercise is still going to be really helpful. So the next one you can try is you can grab some ankle weights. If you don't have ankle weights, a heavy pair of shoes or boots can do the trick nicely. You're going to put that around, and you're going to go on your belly. So this one we're just going to work the legs one at a time. So lifting and then down. Just similar, right? But it's a little bit harder because you're just doing the single leg and you've got some weight on it. So I like to, again, like maybe one day do the two-legged one, and then the other day do the one-legged one, so that I'm getting the best of both worlds with that. Now while we're over here on our bed or couch or whatever you were able to find, we're also gonna work an arm portion. So I'm just gonna grab my yoga block. This one you don't necessarily need weight for, but if you have just something to grab, it can just help with your form. So I like to hold something kind of light is a good idea for this. So we've got the block, our arms are down, and we're just gonna lift the arms and then back down again. So my head is down, I'm not lifting with my neck. A lot of times people overwork their neck and they feel like they're lifting because like, oh, look how high I am, but it doesn't. It has to do with your arms. Your head out isn't going to make your body hit handstand very effectively because even if you make it there, you're not going to be in a good shape. So it's good to work the arms independent of the head so that you're getting really the focus of what we want the cast to come from. And then the final one that we're going to work is a little bit hard for people to understand that it is important, but it actually is super important. We're going to work glute bridges. Now, glute bridges, what they help you with is we've all seen that person that makes a cast or makes a cast handstand and their butt is sticking out or their back is really arched and they're just not in a good shape. A lot of that has to do with your butt. So try it right now for me. I'm going to have you stand up. Go ahead and stand up. And I'd like you to put your hands across the front of your hips and another hand across your glutes. Now, I'm going to have you squeeze your butt. What happens to your shape? For most people, their shape's going to flatten out and it's going to really help them with their straight handstand. So in order to strengthen that position, we can take the weight, one of the weights we had for our shoulders. You can put your back right on the edge of your bed or a chair. You're going to walk your feet out. You're going to put the weight on your hips. We're going to dip down and then we're going to lift and then we're going to squeeze the glutes. I would like you guys to look at your knees while you're doing it, because that way you're not going to overarch your back and you're going to actually use your glutes for this. Now this move is not only going to help your handstand shape and your casting, but it's also going to help your tumbling, so you get a bonus out of it. So that one is really great. Usually people can do more weight when they're doing glutes too. So a lot of times if you only had, say, if you maybe used a 10 or 15 pound in each hand for your dumbbell shoulder press, you might be able to do a 20, maybe a 30 pounder for your glute bridge. So don't be shy about the weight. Your glute is your biggest muscle in your body, and so definitely take advantage of using your glutes and getting them as strong as you can. So those are my conditioning suggestions for improving your cast handstand at home.